Welcome to Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallett. Hey, did you know that Steve went to high school in Spain and never even had to take Texas history? There's going to be a test later.
And Michelle Lewis, who put a hole the size of a grapefruit in the wall at our office with her head.
Well, not on purpose. I fell.
Yeah, excuses.
That's what happens when I wear nice shoes.
Yeah, that's right.
So if I
was
wear
it high heels, you blamed it on the high heels.
If I wear anything other than flip flops, I can't walk.
Come on.
So Steve, tell me about your experience in Spain. You grew up in Spain?
I did. I lived in Spain a total of 7 years, I think, so from 1st to 5th grade, and then we went to London for 3 years. And came back and did 9th through 11th grade. And then, so I had not been back in the United States from the time I was left 1st grade until I went to my senior year in high school in Homestead, Florida. That was an eye opener.
Wow. So your first, as a senior in high school, your first time back.
It was the first time I had been in school in the United States since I was in 1st grade.
What were some of the differences that you saw?
You know, the biggest thing was, race relations. You know, I grew up on military bases with friends that were all different races and ethnicities, and we all got along great, and we didn't realize that we weren't supposed to hang out with each other. And then when I moved to Florida, which race relations in South Florida were not good. This would have been the late 70s. One of my good friends, Damien, was black, and him and I both took a lot of crap for that because some of the black folks didn't want him hanging out with me, and some of the white folks didn't want me hanging out with him.
So y'all moved over from Spain together, or y'all both military?
No. I met him in Florida, and we became friends and hung out a little bit. And he was a good guy. And I ended up graduating from Homestead High School, and but that was the biggest eye opener, and the cars were really big over here.
Really?
Because in Spain they're all Fiats and Seats, these little tiny, super small cars. Like some of them had 500cc engines in them, but it was fun. It was a good way to grow up. Got to see the world. But
when you say 500 cc's, I think, ooh, that's a lot of Botox. When you say that, I don't know what that is in relation to the car. That's a
really small engine. That's about 1/6 the size of the engine that's in your car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which isn't a very big engine.
See, I elementary school, I grew up down in the Rio Grande Valley.
Right.
I'm a Valley girl.
Guarita Barbie.
Guarita Barbie, that's right. And I spoke Spanish all throughout elementary school, and then I moved to Corpus and went to high school, well, middle school, junior high, I guess is what they called it back then. Junior high, high school, and my first year of college in Corpus, and then moved to San Antonio, and then moved to Austin. So just kind of been up the 281.
Texan, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a very lifelong
good
Texan,
for you. There's not many of you anymore, it seems.
Well,
like.
you know what? When I grew up, I remember you were telling me about stories, just kind of popping on a train and kind of traveling or exploring Europe was super cool. It was nothing for me. My experience with that was very limited and very small, but it was really nothing for us to. After church on a Sunday, we would go into Mexico and go have lunch at Arturo's and then just pop back over. It was nothing to go back and forth across the border, but I have family that live down there now, and it has gotten really, really bad.
It's changed.
Very, very much.
When I was when I lived in London, we lived on the outskirts of London in a little small town, kind of like Dripping almost to London, called Ealing. And my friend Josh Wank, which that was his real last name.
I'm going to reserve.
Josh Wank. We used to get on the subway, which is called the Tube over there, and I'd get up and go meet him at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we would ride the Tube all around London and go to Trafalgar Square and Piccadilly Circus and Hyde Park. 14. 13 and 14.
Wow.
And there was no cell phones. There's no pagers. There's not even computers were just really starting to come around then. that was a long time.
There were smoke signals.
Yeah, that's right.
Send up smoke signals.
But I mean, and then I'd come home at 7 o'clock, and sometimes I'd go to his house and call my mom and say, "Mom, can I spend the night at Josh's house?" And she'd say, "Fine." So she wouldn't see me for 2 days. I'm out riding around. Boy, you wouldn't do that now. They'd throw you in jail if you did that with your kids now.
And when you were in Spain, you spent a lot of time on the beach.
Yeah, which I didn't realize at the time how great those beaches were. So we were in South Spain, Rota Navy Base, which some of our listeners might have heard of that. It's a really big Navy base there on the south end, right before you go into the Mediterranean Sea. And beautiful white sand beaches and great surf and
Beautiful women.
Beautiful women. Yes, lots of Spanish women, which was interesting because so I could speak Spanish to Spanish women when I was.
I'm sure you could.
But and I was
suave,
yeah, and I was pretty good at it when I came to the States, and then told people that I spoke Spanish, and I ran into people that were from Mexico.
It's very different.
I didn't understand but about every sixth word.
It's very different. My very good friend, she's from Argentina, or she's Argentinian, and her Spanish sounds more Italian, French. It's weird. It has a lot of zhush sound, very different from down in the Tex-Mex that I was used to.
Castilian Spanish is what they call it. Is very clean and crisp and precise. There's no like one word running into the next, or it's a beautiful language. But anyway, so it's been a long time. It's been 40 years since I thought I was fluent in Spanish, but it was a lot of fun.
And my son, who lived in Puerto Rico, said that a lot of the Puerto Ricans he thought talked like they had marbles in their mouth.
Yeah,
he couldn't understand what they were saying.
Well, when I was in Spain, one of the things, my dad took us all around Spain, and we saw so many historical sites, old Roman ruins, and the Moors came over from Africa and invaded Spain in I think the 1400s, and we got to see all that history. And so that kind of brings me to what we were going to talk about today, my love of history and the history of Dripping Springs, some of the things that we've come up with. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but the original settlers of Dripping Springs moved here in 1853. And the story is they topped Wallace Mountain, which you drive by. Do you know where Wallace Mountain is?
No, I knew what Pulte Mountain was in High Point, which is like a big heap of trash of the construction.
No. Wallace Mountain is right across from the water tower as you crest the hill to come up into Dripping. If you look off to your left, there's a high point there. There's a cell phone tower kind of off to one side. That's Wallace Mountain.
Well, I did not
So
know
that was where the first settlers settled down in Dripping Springs. And then in 1857, we got our first post office.
Yes, and that was, I guess our three settlers were the Pound families, the Moss families. Who was the other one? The Wallace family.
Wallace family,
and,
Wallace Mountain.
And Moss was our first postmaster, and his wife, I think her name was Indiana, but they called her Nanny. She was
Nanny
the one
Moss,
that named Dripping Springs.
Yep.
So that's where our Dripping Springs came from.
And they're actually the original post office. The building it was in is still on Mercer Street. It's the Marshall Chapman Home Marker. I don't actually know if that's the same building, but that's where the original post office was. Right, that's almost right across from City Hall on Mercer Street.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, there's a historical marker there, but
I know where that is. Now I do. I know where that is.
Yeah. And originally, before those settlers got here, the settlers that were here were Tonkawa Indians.
Tonkawa or Tonkawa?
Tonkawa. Yeah, Tonkawa.
I'm the dyslexic one.
That's pretty bad.
Tonkawa?
Tonkawa. I looked at the word and I was like, I've never heard that before, but I've heard of Tonkawa.
No, it's the Tonkawa now. The Tonkawa Indians.
I'm not going to edit that out. And then the last reported Indian raid was in 1872. So
we still had Indian raids here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Boy, I bet that was pretty rough. They came from Mississippi, the original settlers, in 1853, and settled down here right where the creek runs under, right by the city hall. That was their water source.
Was that Dripping Springs?
That was Dripping Springs.
That was Dripping Springs. And along with that, I know that the schools are all have to have the name Springs.
You were saying that, yeah. So we've got Walnut Springs, Sycamore Springs, Rooster Springs,
Cypress Springs now.
Cypress Springs.
And apparently the district schools are named after existing natural springs in the district. Board policy states that district facilities may be named for local residential areas, local geographic features, or local state or national landmarks, and district facilities shall not be named for persons living or dead. So Rooster Springs is over the actual, not the elementary school. Rooster Springs is over by
the spring, yeah.
Polo Club, right?
That's right.
Dripping Springs is off of Mercer.
Right. You can still
see go,
it.
There's like a little...
Apparently it doesn't flow like it used to, but yeah, that's where the water would
You said that people, they used to put their cheese and milk.
That's the story I heard, that they used it because the water coming out of there was cold. They would store things that were perishable in there to help them last a little bit longer.
They didn't have a Frigidaire?
They didn't have a Frigidaire in 1853.
It was a Dripping Springs. Well, so where is Sycamore and Cypress Springs? Do we know where those are?
I actually don't know. I would think Sycamore would probably be over kind of where Onion Creek is. Maybe it's that big deep water crossing that we talked about on the last podcast over off of Darden Hill. That may be what feeds.
Well, that'd be interesting. If anybody out there knows where Sycamore or Cypress Springs.
Mallett and Michelle at gmail.com. Email us and let us know.
So do you know where Walnut Springs is? No?
I don't.
So we have three missing. Walnut, Sycamore, Cypress that we need to know.
That's right. That's right. You know what else? In 1884, so we already had a post office. We've already had a little town here. The population in 1884 was 130 people.
And they were all related.
Yeah. And then we actually didn't break the population of 1,000 until 1990. So,
oh, wow. So that's interesting.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
So the actual town of Dripping Springs right now, as we know it, do you know kind of geographically, because now we have what is called we don't have now, but we have the ETJ.
Yeah.
You can explain what that is, the
extraterritorial jurisdiction. So it's not city limits, but the city has some control over.
So I live in the ETJ, which is out Sawyer Ranch. I think it goes to Nutty Brown or a little bit further.
It's not like a circle. It goes, in some places it goes really far out of town, and some places it doesn't go very far.
Like 1826 by Texas.
It does. It goes all the way over to 1826, but I don't think it goes that far north, but I'd have to look at the map. But so they have some control over the
Dripping Springs proper then is
the last I heard, the greater Dripping Springs area, the population, we'd probably look it up, but I was thinking it was more like population 2020. So that's 7454. That's within the city limits. I'd say the greater area, it's got to be 25,000 now.
Oh, more?
Yeah, maybe more.
Do you think? I would think more.
Maybe. I don't know. But when I moved here in 2003, the sign outside of town, I think it said it was still like less than 2,000. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So
it says that Dripping Springs population has doubled in the last 5 years.
And that was this
was in 2020. So I guess this was off the last census.
Yeah. Yeah. So the town is growing. Did you know that there was a petition a few years ago to change the name of the town?
I think I voted on it.
Oh, God. Yeah.
You know, I like to laugh. I think it's funny.
It was pretty funny.
I didn't take it really seriously.
There was a petition on change.org that got 331 signatures to change the name of Dripping Springs to Pound Town.
Well, why wouldn't you call it Pound Town? Because one of the founders was
I'm going to Pound Town.
And apparently it ended up, they found out that it was a publicity stunt or a fundraising stunt. And
it got some traction, though.
It did. I think it got a lot of traction on Dripping Springs Neighbors. We had recently talked with Amanda Anderson, and that was pretty funny. I just remember watching all of that transpire on that page. And there were some old timers that were ticked off, how disgraceful, they didn't get the humor in it.
Yeah.
And I get it to one point, but lighten up, people. It was funny.
Could you imagine sending your Christmas cards with that return address? Send it to me, courtesy of Pound Town.
Well, you know what, Steve? Actually, when I was doing a little bit of research on this, when you look up Pound Town, it will actually pull it still up on Wikipedia.
Really?
Yeah, it will.
The story?
See, look right here on the website. It says Pound
gosh.
Town. There's a website. I don't know if it's been hacked or, but I do think it's kind of funny.
Wow. Well, we're going to talk more about the history in upcoming episodes because I'm fascinated by it, and I think there's so much to talk about here. But we have a guest coming in here in a few minutes that we met. Because how many years have we been doing portfolio at the high school?
5 years. Yes.
4 or 5 years. Where if you ever want to feel really stupid, go sit and listen to these super smart kids that our school district is pumping out and have them present their portfolios to you and tell you all the things they've done in high school. It's fascinating. And Cindy Reynolds.
She's the CTE coordinator. At
Yes, she's a teacher, and CTE coordinator. She works with the interns from the business department. She's going to come in and talk to us about the high school and what's going on there and some of the challenges for the kids today. And we're excited to have her on. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com.
Cindy Reynolds from the high school. Thank you for joining us. I feel like I should call you Miss Reynolds.
No. Just call me Cindy. Students have to call me Miss Reynolds until they graduate. And then they get
Can they call you Cindy?
They can.
Oh, I bet that's probably something they really look forward to.
They do.
Yeah.
Can you please start calling me Mrs. Lewis?
No.
Okay. Damn it.
Tell us what you do at the high school.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I really
pleasure.
appreciate the opportunity. And I actually started at the high school as a business teacher. Before that, I was at Walnut Springs as a 5th grade teacher for 4 years. I don't know if you remember, Steve, but I taught Grace math.
Oh, I do remember that.
Way back in the day. But yeah, I started at the high school and grew the business program and then worked my way out of the classroom to where I am now the career and technical education coordinator, as well as I coordinate our internship program and our senior showcase, which was previously known as Senior Portfolio.
Oh, you changed the name.
Ooh. We're rebranding this year.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Michelle and I have done the portfolios like 4 or 5 years. We love that. It's one of my favorite things to do.
I know. We walk out of there feeling really stupid.
I do every time. Like, oh, these kids are going to rule the world. I'm past my prime, but these kids are just coming into it. And so with the DSISD, how many years total?
So this is my 13th year total. I came into education as a second career when I actually was 40.
Oh, wow.
Call me crazy. And so this is my 13th year.
You're in good company. You're in good crazy company.
Good.
Right here. Yeah.
What'd you do before education?
So before education, I was in sales and finance. I took some time off to have some kids and we actually lived in Kansas City for a long time. When we moved back to Texas in 2005, my husband started his own company. And that was when I decided I needed to start my career back up again. And I remembered back when we were poor, right out of college, trying to pay off student loans. I worked at a bank, and at night I taught at the local community college. This was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I remember how much I loved that. I loved the teaching part of it. So I became certified, kind of an alternative certification, so I could teach in Texas and just went for it.
Yeah. Wow. And you're leaving at the end of the year.
I am. This
what
is
are you
my
going to go
last year.
do?
Well, that's the fun part. I don't know
Whatever
yet.
she wants.
I'm not sure yet. I've brushed up my resume, and I don't know. I'm really looking forward to whatever it is.
After people listen to this podcast, the job offers will just come rolling in.
That's what I'm hoping.
We're a really big deal.
Find her resume at Mallett and Michelle @gmail.com.
So you're not really in the classroom anymore, but you are. The kids look up to you as a teacher resource. Is that right?
They know I'm someone that has a badge on in the hallway.
Yeah. That they better stop what they're doing when you go by, right? Oh, here comes Miss Brown.
I learned a lot about Shark Tank when I used to sub in your class.
Yeah.
Either that
what did
was
you learn about that?
Well, we watched a lot of Shark Tank. Either that was my level that was given to the substitutes, like here, we're going to give Michelle Shark Tank to have the kids watch. Or there was a lot of Shark Tank that was going on.
I've never watched that show.
You haven't?
No.
That was a Friday thing.
Yeah.
So if you subbed on Fridays, yes.
And
was Shark
Foster
Tank.
would come around all the time. Your son, Foster.
My son, yes. Him and his friends. My
All the
daughter,
football,
her
yeah.
friends. Yes, it turned into quite the party in
Yes.
the business classroom.
So when you were teaching, what did you really love about that?
Well, first of all, I loved teaching business. I saw when I was at the elementary school level, my whole goal when I became certified to teach was to teach business. I saw the need for that. At the time, Dripping Springs High School was very centered around, I would say, agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell that dynamic was going to change. The community was going to change, that they really wanted and needed a larger business program. So I was fortunate enough to become friends with current business teachers at the high school. And I said, when there's an opportunity, let me know, and I'll be there with my resume, the next day. So it just so happened I think I was just at the right place at the right time.
Oh,
I was in Dripping Springs at the right time. It was really an opportunity for me that couldn't have been any better.
Oh, that's great.
And it's changed so much. What type of programs are offered right now at Dripping Springs High School?
So as far as across the board for
the CT,
career and tech,
uh-huh.
So we have a very strong business program that encompasses marketing, personal finance, real estate. Real estate is, we were the first school in Texas to offer.
We were a part of that with Mr. Lemons.
Yes, and he has grown that program immensely. He has schools from all over Texas that contact him and ask him, how did you do this? I say, well, you can't really replicate that because he's a pretty special guy.
Yeah.
But real estate, marketing, finance. We have entrepreneurship. We have the Tiger Shack at the high school, which used to be more apparel related, and now it's turned into a coffee shop.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they run it like a retail store.
They sure do.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. And this year it's been popular. They offer Red Bull. So that's a very popular
For
item.
$5 a can. They sell it like hotcakes.
Their profit is through the roof this year.
I bet.
But we also have a very strong engineering program. We have agriculture. We have welding. We have auto tech. Our health science program is incredible. And we have our law and government. We started forensic science, which is just taking off like crazy. And
And floral arranging, right?
Yes, floral. Floral is part of our ag program, and that has led into floral, which is also part of hospitality and event planning. So that is really growing.
So it sounds like some of those programs are for kids that aren't maybe going to go to college.
That's what we're hoping. Our goal with all of our programs is that students can become certified and acquire some type of certification to where they can start work right away, after high school.
I know that Bastrop, as far as auto tech, Bastrop High School, they have where those kids can graduate with an associate's degree as well. Are those types of programs offered or will be offered Dripping Springs High School? Or
Yeah, we currently don't have that opportunity in the auto tech field. We would like to grow that auto as well as welding.
Oh, I want to learn to weld. Can I go back to school?
You can. I'll give you Tuesdays and Thursdays off.
Oh, great. Thank you. So we heard what you love about teaching. You may not want to share this. What do you hate about teaching?
I think hate is a strong word.
What do you dislike about teaching?
So we've seen the change in the students a little bit. I think COVID had a lot to do with that. Just their social cues.
Mm-hmm.
See,
That's okay.
That's me. That's normally
That's
me.
I talk
Cindy.
with my hands. When we really see that just they're learning how to relate to each other again, and
Which they weren't that good at before, right? Because they were all
Right.
on electronics, and now they've
right. So if you
sure it's
think
hard.
when we had a virtual year, they really had a lot of freedom and had a lot to do. They could be on with the teacher. They could have a blank screen, so they could be listening. They could be not listening.
They could be on Minecraft.
Right. So I think
You hope they were on Minecraft. They could have been on some other sites.
I was on Minecraft when I work from home. That's what I did.
Yeah.
so. Yeah, just getting them back to a normal situation. But I don't know if we can even say what's normal.
I know, isn't that
anymore.
true? Yeah, it's like we tore up normal, and now everybody's trying to figure out how we piece it back together if we ever can.
Is the high school offering or the school offering at all any remote, or it's all online or in person? I'm sorry.
It's all in person. If
I think it's great.
Yeah, if students want to go remote, then they have to go to some other type of program.
A program as in
Another school.
Another school. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Do you think, I know that everybody has a different opinion about this. I just want yours. When histories or books are written in 10 years and we talk about how as a community we handled this pandemic in regards to education, do you think those history books will be nice, kind about that? Or do you feel like we did a good job with that, considering everything?
I hope the history books are kind, because I saw all the work that went into trying to make every student successful. The teachers are amazing,
Yeah.
and they went above and beyond every day trying to make sure that they're reaching out to every single child like they were sitting in their classroom. So I think as far as the school goes, I was amazed at how quickly we put together our virtual program, and we were successful.
Yeah.
If you even think about a lot of these teachers, they have children of their own that they're home. They're trying to teach your child, but they're trying to monitor with their own children, even if they had smaller ones, trying to monitor what their own children are doing. And daycares were closed and businesses were closed. And so I think, you're right. You're making it up as you go along. But I agree. I have to agree with you that given the circumstances that everybody was thrown at, I think Dripping Springs did an amazing job.
It's kind of crazy how you guys shifted gears so dramatically there.
Very much so.
And even in the midst of all that, you had some people in the community second guessing everything you guys did. Was that hard on you personally to see that?
I think that's the nature of education now. I think that we are under a microscope all the time. We experience that, me personally with senior portfolio, which we now call Senior Showcase. There, we had a lot of pushback with that through the community. And because of that, I'm no longer on Facebook because I can't read that anymore.
You mean to continue having portfolio, or just the conversation around?
There were
That it
people
was
that
unfair.
didn't. It was unfair that you have portfolio.
Yes.
They didn't want to even have it.
Right.
That's crazy to me, because that's one of the best things I think comes out of high school.
I think all three of my kids, they worked their butts off to do that. And I still have all three of the kids' portfolio notebooks, because it's fun to look back, and it's like I can get rid of everything else they did, and I can keep that portfolio.
It's one of the very necessary skills they have to succeed in the workplace now, is to be able to stand up and present something like that.
Well, for those that don't know, explain kind of just in a nutshell what the portfolio, what it was, because it was derived on college-based curriculum, right? Or a college-based presentation.
Yeah, it has gone through many different iterations. But what we have now is we call it Senior Showcase. Every presentation is in person. We invite the community to come in and teachers as well to listen to these students talk about what they've accomplished in their experience in Dripping Springs ISD. Every student has to produce a business resume, a cover letter, and then go through a self-reflection. That self-reflection is very powerful because it is goal-centered, goal-based. They reflect back on things that they may have forgotten about that they've accomplished. And with this new system or this new showcase this year, we're allowing them to either be interviewed by their panel or to do a presentation on their own. They're meeting different criteria that are affiliated with Portrait of a Graduate, which is on our website, on the school website. But they also get to showcase something unique about themselves. So that's where we've taken the college-bound piece out, and we want to celebrate what makes that student unique, whether they're a rock climber or, we had a student rappel off of the Performing Arts Center.
Oh, wow. I missed
ceiling.
that. I wanted that one.
You would have loved that
I
one.
would have loved that.
Or that they've rebuilt an engine, or that they've welded together a barbecue pit.
We had one that a kid came in, he did custom painted sneakers. And it seems kind of hokey not to see, but he was very talented, wasn't he? I encouraged him. I said, you need to take this big. It's so cool what you're doing. Very talented. But, sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's okay. Just to wrap that up, I think the most powerful part, and I'm so lucky to be a part of it, is to watch the students when they leave the room, because they have this sense of accomplishment and pride on their face. And they come out of there feeling so good about themselves. It's really the way our community sends these students out the door on a positive note.
That's a great one of the last feelings about high school is to have that going into college and maybe into career.
I love
subbing
in portfolio weeks, watching the girls walk around in heels that I haven't worn in a while. And it's just like the dress, like they have to dress for success, right? I remember we had one kid that popped in khaki shorts and like a basketball short, and I think we asked Cindy, we said, has the dress code part changed? She's like, oh no, it hasn't. No, he just kind of did what he did. And
but the opposite was true also. Some kids would come in and they seemed very nervous and they maybe weren't that well put together. But then when they started their presentation, we were both like jaws open, like, wow, this kid's really got it figured out. Remember there was a couple like
talking
that.
About their love of whatever their
whatever it was.
Yeah, that was neat. I remember one, I think it was Coach King's son that we had. That was a cool little presentation also.
They'll just blow you away.
They do. So you mentioned how when I moved here in 2003, this was a very ag-centered school district. And so you mentioned that that's one of the changes. What are some of the other changes you've seen in education in, say, the last 10 years here in Dripping Springs?
I think there are a lot of parties involved in education that weren't that way before. I, as a teacher, you have your administration, you have your students, and then you also have the parents. There's a huge responsibility as a teacher to make sure that you're communicating things home constantly. If there are some, if someone has messed up a grade or if someone missed an exam, you're not only talking to that student, but you're also sending home information to the parents so everyone's aware. That's different from when I started out. It was I put the responsibility solely on the student. So I think that's what I've seen. That's a little bit different. Yeah. But just being here since 2005, you just see just a different population really moving in.
Completely, yeah.
We were talking about that as well. Like we are having so many new residents that are moving here, and maybe the schools or even the states that they came from, Dripping Springs. I remember my kids are saying that, my own children, that Dripping Springs definitely prepared them for college. And do you feel like there are more and more kids that are going to college, or are they choosing, like, one of mine chose the military route. We had trade school. We have just nothing where they're just going right into their
It did
career
seem
choice.
like there was a period when dripping where almost all the kids were prepared for college.
It was very college centric, and I felt like I felt for me, my oldest who was dyslexic just was kind of left out a little bit, and that was, that was just, everything was so college driven. And now I remember it was Mr. Burns when they were doing the signing days of the kids. And I brought it up to him and I said, why aren't we doing anything for these military kids that are signing? And he said, that's a really good idea. And that graduation, he spoke about the military kids, and watching my son stand up, it just literally brought tears to my eyes, because, it's amazing to have kids that decide to dedicate their life to the military. So, I mean, where are you seeing these kids nowadays? Are we still seeing a large population of Dripping Springs High School kids go to college, trade school, military?
Any idea the percentage that are going into vocation versus college?
Yeah, actually, that is something that we are, as a district in Texas, supposed to track. We are supposed to track the career and college readiness of every student. So I would still say, yes, definitely the majority is college bound. We are trying to increase the number of dual credit courses that students can take. And last year we had our first student that graduated with an associate's degree from ACC.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Going to two schools at the same time.
Right. But we're also trying to increase as far as our military. We would love to have a junior ROTC program. That is something that is in the works, and we're trying to garner more interest. I mean, now we're 6A.
Yeah.
We're going to be 6A.
I can't believe that.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's next year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It starts next year. But part of being in the career and tech education is, we want to catch those kids that maybe aren't necessarily going into college and give them the opportunity to earn those certifications. Like when Logan went to school, we didn't have all of the healthcare certifications that we now have. Students can be, have a pharmacy tech certification. They can be a certified medical assistant by the time they graduate.
That's what Logan, I remember when he graduated high school, he was like, oh, I'm going to take a gap year. I was like, the hell you are. And so I made him get his, Kevin Lewis was so gracious and worked with him and let him kind of intern there for a little bit and made him get his certification.
You know what they mean when they say gap year?
Yeah.
Mom, I'm going to stay at home and not do anything for a year on your dime.
That's why I said, the hell you are. And he became a certified medical. And he did that. And now he's doing EKGs and looking at getting his bachelor's in neuroscience. So
that's awesome.
I know, the little dyslexic kid that didn't know what he wanted to do, sometimes it just takes a little bit longer.
Hey, he was one of my favorites in my career prep class.
Because he's smarty pants like his mama.
Yeah, without a doubt. We always have people fill out a questionnaire, and you didn't put this on there, but Michelle told me you're a Red Raider.
I am.
Yeah. What year did you graduate?
So I graduated Texas Tech in 1993 with a master's degree. I just went straight through.
Oh, wow.
And I graduated from Westlake High School in 86. I didn't put that on
I
there.
didn't know that. So you're an Austinite.
I'm an Austinite.
Born and raised?
No, my dad worked for IBM, and so we actually moved around quite a bit. I was born in Kentucky, of all places, but we moved here in 70. Hang on a second. My mom's going to kill me. Maybe it was 80 or 81 from New York.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Well, if you've been here that long, we'll consider you an Austinite. Yeah,
We'll throw you a bone. What are your kids doing now?
Oh, my gosh. So Kelsey, we'll start with her. She graduated DRIP in 2014. She went off to the University of Missouri, where she got her bachelor's in, I'm going to screw this up. Kelsey, hope you're not listening.
We hope she does.
It was in behavior science. It was in the health science college. And then she went to UT and got her master's degree in a year.
Wow.
She passed her board exam, and now she is a behavior analyst.
Wow.
She works with children with autism and the real little ones, like the 2s and 3s.
Does she work with 58-year-old real estate agents also?
She can for a price.
Okay. Thank you. Tell her, call me.
Yes. So she's great. She lives in Austin. She's up in the Domain area. And then my son Foster graduated from Dripping in 2017, went to the University of Arkansas.
I love Foster.
And you wouldn't recognize him now, though. But he graduated from Arkansas in 4 years, and now he works for a company that is based in Japan, headquartered in Cleveland, and he works 100% out of his apartment.
Has he been to Japan yet? Have they
No.
sent him? Oh, my goodness.
He was getting ready to go to Philadelphia for some type of sales conference this week, but the COVID kind of put a little kibosh on that.
It's kind of crazy how things have changed so much in the last couple of years where you can have a career and never leave your apartment. A very valuable career. It's crazy how that's
driving Todd crazy. I mean, because he used to drive.
I was going to say, how is Foster taking that? How does he like?
It could be a little isolating.
He thrives.
Really?
And
Really?
yes, he thrives in that environment. He lives with his girlfriend, and they have a 2-bedroom apartment so that he can have his office space. And he loves being somewhat his own boss. You know, he has meetings, he has FaceTime meetings and things like that, but he completely thrives in that environment. So
Michelle and I don't thrive in that kind of
No,
environment.
because when I was having to work from home and Todd was in the next room, I would call Steve and I was like, if I have to hear more of that tippy tapping on his computer, he's an engineer, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. And so
we lasted about 2 weeks during the lockdown, and we were the only ones in the office, but we started coming in because I couldn't do it. I can't work from home. So,
yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, but it seems like the younger kids. It's a mindset thing. They're okay with it. Mm-hmm. They don't have any problem with that working remotely.
Yeah, some kids can thrive in that atmosphere, but I do think you miss out on the human interaction and learning how to be professional in a professional environment. And that's why I am so thankful for all the partners locally that I've worked with in placing interns, you guys being definitely one of them. I think you have 2 interns right now.
Yes.
But giving kids that opportunity to see what it's like in that environment. Not everything needs to be on a screen.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true. The ones that you've sent us have been fantastic. We've enjoyed getting to know them and being around them. So, you mentioned that you like traveling. It's one of your passions is traveling, so especially international traveling, I think is what you said. Where's
the furthest you've gone?
Well, I think it's a toss-up between Sydney and Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
But I'm very lucky. My husband is an investor, and he invests in emerging markets.
So you piggyback off of. That's what I do.
I love to piggyback on those trips. And actually, when COVID, it was March of 2020 when COVID hit, we were supposed to go to Beijing in June.
Oh.
So that could have been my last opportunity to piggyback on him, because I don't know if they're going to get back to where they're traveling internationally. What we're seeing now is conferences are coming here. Mm-hmm. So if he needs to go to a Turkish investment group, they'll just have it in New York.
Wow. What a cool career.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the favorite place that you've ever been?
I loved Sydney.
I'd like to go there.
I loved it, and I felt very safe there. Same with Tokyo, because I spend a lot of time, because he is working, I spend a lot of time by myself.
That's what I do too. Yeah.
So Sydney was probably more comfortable because things were in English. In Tokyo, I got lost in the subway.
Oh.
And I just kind of stood there and panicked. And looking for someone that could possibly help me because I couldn't read any of the signs. But they do have a lot of expats that work there. Mm-hmm. And so a lady saw me and she's like, waved me over.
You had the look on your face. Huh? Oh, that lady needs help.
I did, but both of those places were amazing. He's gotten to go to a lot more interesting kind of East European type countries, which I would have loved to have done as well.
I got to piggyback off a Amsterdam trip, and he was working all week, and I just decided I was going to go to Paris for the day.
Sure.
And I took the train to Paris, and nothing was in English. Nothing except my little Google translator, and it was interesting.
You're a typical American. You're like, wherever you go, you're like, they don't speak English here.
I know.
What's up with that?
You know what? I found an Apple store at the Louvre, and that they were the only ones. Even everything in the Louvre was like everything was in French, and so it's like there was and a Starbucks. Found a Starbucks.
Oh yeah.
So,
what's on your list for places you want to go in the future?
Well, I think Greece would be amazing. I would love to go there. I would also love to do more in Asia, whether that's, like I said, we were supposed to go to Beijing. I would love to have the opportunity to go there, or Hong Kong, or Thailand.
Thailand. Ooh.
Steve grew up in Spain. He went to high school in Spain.
Spain and London. Yeah.
I was supposed to go with the band to Spain, and then that got canceled. I was bummed.
We had our honeymoon scheduled in 2020 to go to Scotland for 2 weeks, which I was actually born in Scotland. And we were going to visit some family there. And then, that was all, because we got married in March and then supposed to go in June, but that was all done.
Literally the weekend before everything hit.
Yeah.
Oh, it was right around spring break.
Got married on the 14th, and on the 16th was when they came out and said, "No, you all shut down. We're done." So we already had some people that didn't come to the wedding because it was kind of on the radar then too. So
that's true.
Yeah. And you recently bought 10 acres in Driftwood?
We did. We spent, in 2005, we moved into a house in Sawyer Ranch. Mm-hmm. And we were there, and we decided that we wanted to stay in the area, but we just have different needs now that the kids are out of the house. So we found this beautiful property that is in Driftwood, and I spend time shoveling cow poop.
Do you have cows?
We have some longhorns that they're not ours. They're our neighbors, but we have they have the grazing rights.
Okay.
Which is great for your taxes.
That's right.
And like the highlight of my weekend was we got a new storage shed. I mean, things have just completely changed.
It's true. Yeah. When your kids move out of the house, your priorities completely change.
It does.
Yeah. Do you go out there and play with the cows?
I try. They're a little skittish, even though we hear from everyone how docile they are. They are a little skittish, but my dog likes to track them.
Oh, yeah.
So he'll track them. The cat even tracks them. It's bizarre.
That's weird.
Yes, it is.
How do the cows take your dog? Well, and your cat tracking them?
Yeah, they don't like the dog at all. And my neighbor told me they do not like dogs. But he will sit up on the hill and watch them down in the pasture. And so
that's fun.
It's really cute. And then the cat, I don't know if they really know what to do with him, but he's a nut. So, yeah.
I want to see a video of this.
All I want is a pet office monkey, and Steve won't. He says it's just going to sit up on the cabinet and throw poop at me.
That's what they do.
I just want a little office monkey, and he won't let me.
Only if you have your own little office with your monkey poop throwing monkey. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for coming in. We're glad that you're here. I'm sure leaving Dripping Springs High School is going to be hard for you.
It is, and even when I wrote my resignation letter, that was hard.
Yeah.
Because talking about reflection, if I reflect back on all of my time, just the relationships that I formed with the kids, and I try to keep track of everyone on LinkedIn. That's kind of my go-to with the ex-students, but just all the highs and lows too, of celebrating students and losing students. And that's what it's all about. And that's why teachers teach is because of the relationship with the kids.
There's no greater calling than to help raise young children or young kids.
Well, you have been a gift to this district, and you will be very much missed, especially by us over here at Mallett Integrity Team.
Well, I'm just right down the road. So.
You're not going anywhere.
We're going to do a field trip too.
Yeah, we're going to come to Cindy's house, check out the cows and the cat. So, well, thanks again, Cindy. We really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for listening.
If you have comments or feedback, please email us at mallettandmichelle@gmail.com.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Mallett and Michelle.
Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
Please follow us and leave a review.
Thanks again for listening.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com.